And I'm excited. I'm really excited about this particular little visit because I'm with my ancient friend.
Ancient?
Sometimes student, partner, just somebody whom I actually inspires me and in a really true, honest sense, keeps me moving forward in my endeavors in regards to video production, course production, running a business, being a solopreneur. I have for you today, oh, by the way, welcome to the CourseCREEK streaming interview show. I have for you today Lauren Bateman. Lauren Bateman is a musician, voice coach, guitar coach, owner of a very successful brick and mortar music school in the Northeast, and also a successful online course producer and one of these YouTubers that's been hitting it out of the park with I don't know how many subscribers, but she'll let you know, very successful on YouTube. What I particularly like about Lauren, well, there's a lot of things I love about Lauren, but one of the things that is relevant for the show, the reason I wanted to bring her onto the show, is that Lauren has a work ethic that is unique, unlike anybody I've met before. It seems that Lauren makes a decision to go to do something, to build something, and a business idea, dives in, and is not fraught by analysis paralysis. I get that from you. I get, like, she just digs in and goes and gets a result and is doing an amazing business. So I give to you a multi-dimensional solopreneur that's successful in many different levels, Lauren Bateman. Lauren, say hello.
Hey, Robert, thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
All right, cool. And I was just saying, it's really true. Lauren and I go back a long time. I actually slept in her attic once and on her futon, but
many moons ago. Yep.
Okay. All right.
But neither of us is ancient. Okay.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to come around back to that. That was a setup. That was a setup. But yeah, I don't know. We're a little bit more well, how do you say wise. Mature?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to it. All right, so they heard from me. Lauren, share with our viewers a bit about your background, please.
Yeah. So, the thing that's strange about me is I am not a traditionally trained musician. I mostly learned to play guitar on my own. My parents didn't want to pay for the guitar lessons, but it was just something that I really loved. My background is actually in biology. I worked for a pharmaceutical company for many years, but decided that I wanted to do something with music because I just loved it. And of course, when I quit my job, I needed to make money. And if you've ever tried performing as an original artist, you don't usually make a lot of money performing and doing gigs. So I started teaching, and it turned out that I was really good at it. I did it out of my home for a number of years, and that eventually grew into a music school where I needed to hire other employees to work for me. And eventually that grew into multiple music school locations. I'm giving you the really abridged version here.
Yeah.
And, eventually, as the business grew, that meant I didn't have as much time for teaching one-on-one as I usually did. So I needed to get out of the business. And what I did was try to do something that allowed me to get into teaching, be scalable. And that was go online, go on YouTube, build out my own guitar courses online. So I still run the music schools, but I'm doing a lot of stuff online, particularly through YouTube right now.
Yeah, fantastic. And we're going to dive right into that and talk about your new how to better monetize. It's not the name of your course, but in fact, I have your course. I had it here. Oh, yes, it is. I love the name. Fulltimeyoutubers.com level up system. I'm screwing that up. Lauren, what's the name of your YouTube course?
Yeah, the YouTube course, it is the level up system. The website's level up on youtube.com. And it's just a system that I went through. I've worked with a lot of coaches. I've gone through a lot of different courses, and it was kind of a lot of the things that I learned from taking some of these courses, some of the things I learned on my own or from other people that gave me advice. So I kind of threw it all into one single resource.
Help. And what can students expect to take away from it after getting completed or certified? Like, what you've made this, and describe the avatar of your student that you're targeting with this new really cool course.
Yeah. So, the person that this course is great for, it's great for someone who has a knowledge base that they want to share and they want to help others. So it's not, the system can work for someone who wants to go make cat videos and make cat videos go viral, but it's not really a system for that type of person. My background, like I said, is in guitar and in teaching music. So I want to help people who have a service type skill. You're a fitness person, you're a musician, you're a mechanic, you're a cook. And you don't even have to be a professional cook. If you just like cooking and you have some knowledge that you would like to share with people, you can do that on a platform like YouTube and work on a way to monetize that. And that's what I go through in this course, is how to really get started from the ground up if you've never started a YouTube channel before, or maybe you're someone who's been on YouTube, for a little while and you're feeling kind of stuck. You got like 500 subscribers, 600, or your channel's kind of like plateauing, not really growing. So you want to get that going. So that's really who this channel is for. Absolute beginners or people who've been on YouTube but are feeling stuck and want to find out some of the strategies they can use to help the YouTube algorithm go in their favor and grow their channel a little bit faster.
Okay, now that sounds like how to grow a YouTube channel, but that's a little different than alternative monetization techniques for your YouTube channel, other than just hitting the monetization button and letting the ads run. So could you clarify that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I talk to a lot of small YouTubers. So these are people with hundreds of subscribers, maybe only a few thousand subscribers. And everyone is so focused on YouTube ads. But the thing with YouTube ads is you need a minimum of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time to even qualify for YouTube ads. And once you do, you're earning like pennies a day. I think the first day on YouTube when I got qualified for YouTube ads, and it took me about a year and a half to do that, was maybe like 10 cents. So I was like really making it big with YouTube ads. But I started selling a course before I could get monetized. And when you're selling a course, you can really capitalize on, I think, the real value of what YouTube is, because YouTube is a way to get attention, to find customers, to find clients, and send those leads over to a website or some kind of course sales funnel, something like Teachable or Kajabi, and send them over to a course funnel where they will buy your products. Because if you help people, they will want to do business with you. And that's the bottom line. So that's what I really focus on in this course, because I think a lot of YouTube courses out there, they teach you how to grow on YouTube, and they give you some monetization options, but they don't really tell you how to make really good money on YouTube. And honestly, that's not in YouTube ads. I do make a lot of money with YouTube ads, but the majority of my income comes from sending leads from YouTube over to my website to go buy my courses.
Yeah, I say it's what I've been doing for years. I'm not sure at the moment it has the same volume that you've achieved recently, which is super impressive, by the way. I've seen your numbers, but I've never used my YouTube channel in the singing business or the CourseCREEK to just like earn dough on monetization. I've turned it on a few times, but I'd make like $7.89 and I just turn it off because my competitors are running ads over my videos anyways. It's always been sort of a lead magnet that drives traffic to my domain, where then I can sell them a course or offer a course or get more an opportunity to nurture the client a little bit more.
Right. So. And the thing with YouTube now, I don't think a lot of creators know this, but this is a newer thing that YouTube just came out with its terms of service. Whether you want them to monetize your videos or not, they're going to monetize your videos. They're always going to play an ad in front of your video. So you might as well at least turn the monetization on for the beginning of your video. You can turn it off in the video. But yeah, YouTube's changed some of their terms of service. So I just want people to know that little tidbit there.
Yeah, which is another piece of it, because it's all this. We should just tell viewers, running a YouTube channel is a lot of work. I mean, it's a big commitment in terms of energy and effort, and yet as you can see, it can pay off. Sort of a love-hate relationship, really. But the thing is with YouTube, it's out of your control. They could change the rules anytime they want, and you'd be out. Versus, building something for yourself out at a learning management system and selling a course or what have you, gives you more empowerment. Is that?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I know we're going to talk later about, kind of like my hero story and moments that have happened, but I think it's very important to never fully count on one source for your revenue or for anything. So, for example, another recent example, Facebook ads just passed, there was the Apple iOS 14 update where Apple users could opt out of ad targeting. And a lot of people who were relying solely on Facebook advertising to drive traffic to their course sales, their sales plummeted. Now, were my sales affected a little bit because I do use Facebook ads? Yes, but the majority of my traffic comes organically. So my sales didn't tank. Okay, that I still have very, very good sales numbers because I didn't just count on paid advertising to get people over to my website and over to my courses.
Okay. All right. So new students will go to the new course. They're going to learn, I'm assuming, at least a little bit about how to get some growth out of your channel, but a bit about some advice on building the, productizing. So how else can somebody productize? Let's talk a little bit about that. We're sort of referring to sending traffic to a funnel. We're going to capture, nurture, and add value for those folks. But at some point, there's an offer, I suppose, that will help them on their journey.
Yeah, and I talk about this in the course. Like, there's certain scripting you'll want to use in your videos, because there's pluses and minuses. Every algorithm has things. I mean, these are just mathematical formulas we're talking about. These aren't humans reviewing things. It's all mathematical. And the YouTube algorithm doesn't necessarily like when you tell someone to leave YouTube. They want people on YouTube because they make money with ads. So, right. You don't want to, every video, you don't want to be like, hey, go check out my course. Hey, go check out my course. But you do want people to do that. So there's different things we can do either in the descriptions, the comments, or within the video itself too, to say, hey guys, whether you're going to do, a free lead magnet to start gaining emails. Maybe you don't have a course yet, but you want to start building a mailing list so that when you do eventually have a course, you've got some people who said, hey, I'm interested in something you've done, whether it's a PDF or, so traditional lead magnet type thing. And then, of course, there's courses where you can send people over, hey, if you like what's going on in this video, I do have an entire course on this. Go over to my website, check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. You can see how often I've done that I can just do it like that. But there's also other, there's many ways to monetize on YouTube. We already talked about YouTube ads. There's affiliate programs. So maybe you don't want to sell your course. Maybe you want to sell someone else's course. You can still make a lot of money doing affiliate products for someone else, so that is a strategy. And it's very similar to what you would do if you were building your own course. I have a few affiliates that I work with, and, you want to send traffic over to those and you can make sales. There's Amazon affiliates. I mean, there's many, many ways to monetize on YouTube. But in my personal experience, I found that having courses was definitely the most lucrative for me as a service provider and a teacher.
So I'm just going to, have some questions here. I'm just going to sort of riff a little bit because I know you can swing with it. Tell us about the first course that you built. So we're talking, it's CourseCREEK, and we're talking about online courses. So let's tell us a little bit about your, it's not in our questions. Tell us a little bit about your experience making your first course.
So my first course was horrible. Not in terms of like, it was horrible. The content was good, but I had to record everything myself. I had to edit everything myself. It was very, very time consuming because there was a large learning curve. But I did it, and it was something that I did. I kept it on a small scale. I mean, I have a very large guitar course right now. I have the YouTube course, which is pretty large. But even with the YouTube course, I started with like a mini course, which was just a few lessons to give people a win, and that's what I recommend people start with. Start with like a smaller course, because the thing is, when you're building a business, especially if you're new to business, you may not know what your audience wants. So you go and you build out this entire ginormous course, and like nobody wants it because there's no market for it. So we talk a little bit about that in the course, finding your audience. How do you know what things to put in a course that people would want to buy? So that's important stuff to know. Go back to the question again.
Oh, the question was.
I gotta go back. I lost my train of thought.
I could throw you a curveball right now, but I'll be kind. The question was just simply, people that are watching, or maybe there's folks that haven't made a course but they know they should. There's the CourseCREEK client beginner that I talk to on occasion. Yeah. And I was just hoping that you could just share a little bit about your story. And I think you were on that path, which is, how about one day you decided you were going to make a course? What was it was there something that happened that inspired you, that you thought, gosh, I have to hunker down and really get this going? I'm curious about that.
Well, yeah, I knew eventually. So, I'm out there putting out a bunch of content, and I'm like, okay, like this is going somewhere. I'm starting to see some growth here. And just being a business oriented person, like I had already grown out my music schools, and I wasn't new to online business stuff. I had done stuff many, many moons ago. And I knew that I had to have some kind of product. I'm like, all right, I need something to sell people. I think everyone is so scared to sell themselves or to put something out there, because we're afraid of like what people are going to say or what people are going to think. I'm like, I just need a product. I'm like, if I can just sell a product for $50, $47, and I can get people to buy it, it will at least make this kind of worth me doing. Because I think that's where a lot of people who start on the YouTube journey get stuck. Because like I said, you're so concentrated on those YouTube ads. And like Robert was saying earlier, it's not a piece of cake to build a YouTube channel. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes commitment and a lot of effort. And you're not seeing a lot of reward for that effort, particularly in the first 1 to 2 years. Usually everyone gives up on YouTube before they hit their first year, because it's just such a grueling process for a lot of people. It's a grind. And I think that's a huge mistake. And what will give you the reward is to, hey, even if I've only got a couple hundred subscribers, at least I have something I can sell them for $50, for $20. Don't be afraid to have a product that people can buy, because you can start making money right from the get-go. And that's what I emphasize in my course. Don't wait till you have 100,000 subscribers to start selling a course. Just start selling something right away, so you have something to offer, so that when you see that first sale come in, I remember when I made my first sale, I was like jumping up and down for joy. I'm like, I did it. Like, this works. This is exciting. Those are motivating points for people, particularly for content creators. Why am I doing this? Well, I just made a sale. Okay, that was worth it.
Yeah. You make a very important point that, again, is not on our questions here, which is great. And that is, you're making me sort of reflect back when I was at the Vocalist Studio, would have been 10 years ago or more. And realizing, there was a certain level of momentum and success with YouTube and making videos and doing master classes and stuff like we did together, all of that. And at some point, somebody said, you got to make a product. There's this overwhelming realization at some point as a content creator and a solopreneur that I need a product. You have to have a product, and then everything sort of is oriented around product. If you don't have a product to sell other than your time, then there's no independence, there's no marketing funnels, there's no future, there's no growth, there's just working like a slave for YouTube or selling your
Right.
time.
And I hear a lot of people, particularly when they talk about YouTube, they're like, passive income. And I don't want you to think that YouTube is passive. YouTube is not passive. It is very active. You have to make content. You have to upload content. There's a lot of things you can outsource as you start making money. I mean, I outsource a lot of things on YouTube to make my life easier. Like, I don't edit my own videos anymore. Someone else does that for me because it's time consuming. And I would rather just spend money or just spend my time making the content. So I think a lot of people think passive income, but it's when you have a course, you spend a certain amount of time, whether it's 5 hours, 10 hours, whatever you put into that course, and you spend those 10 hours once, and then you get to make money off of those 10 hours forever. And that's what I love about YouTube, because the content, for the most part, is evergreen. You could have a video that takes off in 10 years from now is still showing. There's people who've uploaded videos 10 years ago, and they are still making money off those videos because they're still getting views because the content is good and it's still relevant. Facebook, Instagram, you make a post today, it is gone tomorrow. Nobody cares about it the next day. YouTube, that's not the case.
Yep. It's the thing that's really lovely about YouTube, Mr. Gustave, is it gives you leverage. It evergreens. You put a lot of effort, and it kind of like a course. It's not a course, but it's similar in the sense that you put all the effort up front, and then it just runs for you. So it's sort of why we have.
I mean, I have videos now that get me thousands of views every single day. I mean, imagine getting 1,000 people to watch your video every single day, day after day, week after week, month after month. What that can do for your branding, what that can do for your income. I mean, it's just it's game changing.
All right, so folks are inspired. They purchase your course. They learn about products. They're ready to go on online course. But there's the technology behind the scenes. There's the building the learning management system, the marketing funnels they've heard a lot about, the email sequencing stuff they know that they're going to have to do, and how do you get around that? What would your recommendation be for that critical piece? Because really, it's if you make a course, it then has to be implemented into a platform, and there's some engines and some heavy lifting that has to be done. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that is probably some of the most time-consuming stuff. You think making the course is time-consuming. I mean, building out all these funnels and these email sequences and these email chains and putting together a sales page and writing good copy. There is an art to copywriting, and I've paid people to do copywriting for me because that's just not my thing. Okay, there is an art to copywriting. So my recommendation would be if you could outsource that. Do that. Okay. And, my good friends over at CourseCREEK help me out with a lot of, my email sequencing in my guitar courses. It's, at some point you can't do everything. You are not an expert in everything. And if you're not someone who's very tech savvy, and if that's part of what's holding you up or hanging you up about doing a course, just outsource someone else to go and build out your course module. They do it once for you. Again, we're talking about spending money once to make money for years and years and years. Because once that stuff's set up, it becomes automated, and that stuff does run on its own. So that would be my recommendation. Find someone who's good at doing these system setups, these course setups. Outsource the work as much as possible. This way you can focus on the content. You can focus on getting the work done, because that's what happens to people. They just get so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of work it takes to be successful on YouTube, to be successful at building an online course that works. They get really burnt out because they're trying to wear all the hats and do everything. So my recommendation would be, invest in having someone else get that stuff done for you so that you can just focus on getting the business going.
Yeah, it's so true. And yes, I mean, full transparency, we're buddies and we're partners and all, but it's not about necessarily, hey, by the way, CourseCREEK does this for you guys, but that's not what that's not the message I want to send at the moment. It truly is. It's
I've done it both ways.
I've done it both ways. That's the point. That's the message, is you cannot do it yourself. It's impossible. I've tried more. I mean, that's how I got here. That's how Lauren and I got in this interview. There's like 12 different skill sets and professions that have to be done at the same time. There's copywriting, there's building websites, there's graphic design, there's instructional design, there's video takes, there's video editing. You can't do it all. So she's right. Get a good deal and find somebody that can build it.
Think about it this way. You do something on your own, particularly when we're talking about copywriting. If you don't know how to write copy, you definitely should hire someone to write copy for you. Think of, you write a sales page. It's a crappy sales page. It converts at like 0.5%. You pay someone some money to write a sales page that converts at 4%, 3%, 2%.
Yeah.
You're gonna sell 4 times as many courses just spending a little money and having someone write good sales copy for you. That was probably one of the biggest regrets I have, was just having like this really dinky short sales. Again, I didn't know what I was doing.
Yep.
Right? I was learning as I was going.
Yeah.
And later down the road, I spent some money to have a copywriter write a sales page for me. And I was like, holy crap. It was so good. I mean, it's a good sales page. And I was just like, I probably lost hundreds of thousands of dollars by just trying to write the copy myself.
And to the copy, the words on the page are arguably, I've heard some like Forrest Linden and Jeff Cobb, which are professionals in the industry I've been hobnobbing with in online course and learning and development. And they both have said, and we're saying, that the copy tends to be the least understood and the least appreciated piece. It's the piece that people tend to ignore the most. Oh, I'll just go ahead and write. I know my product and my business. I can write this out myself. And yet, it's arguably the most important thing, that copy. And so it's sort of ironic in that way, where people say they blow off or they go half-ass on the copy, and you really can't. You need professional copywriters to do it. And there's a formula and a science behind it and all this stuff. It's just one more thing that I don't have time to learn how to do.
Yeah, all comes down to time.
Okay. Hey, we were talking about affiliates. I'm going back a little bit. Is the course going to have an affiliate program?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to set up a full affiliate program. And, if you guys are interested in being part of that affiliate program, you can just shoot me an email. It's info@laurenbateman.com, info@laurenbateman.com. If you're interested, once we get that set up, we can get you into the funnel there. So just shoot me an email. More than happy to help. Right.
Because that could be really useful with agencies. And
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just humming along here, aren't we, Lauren?
That's what I do.
Okay, getting right to it. All right. So I have a question here for you. Oh, and yep. Hi, George. It's good to see you. We got a comment here from my friend George. Lauren, here's the fun part. Would you be kind enough to share your hero story? A time in your life or career you can remember when you felt like you had hit rock bottom. How did you recover from that? Keep going, begin to win to become the success you are today. Tell us a rags to riches, bottom up, Phoenix rising inspiration story, please. I know you got a few in you.
Well, I definitely have a Phoenix rising story for you. I mean, and you called it out when we were talking about this interview ahead of time and doing prep work. He was like, this story, and I was like, that's the one I picked. So, briefly, you guys heard at the beginning of this interview that, I had built some brick and mortar music schools after teaching privately on my own for a while. So that school had been running for about 2 years. And what happened was a car actually crashed through the front of the building. I actually was supposed to have a lesson with you I was supposed to have a lesson with Robert the next morning, and I called him. I was like, I have to cancel my lesson. There's a car in my building. And he was like, what? So this woman had just drove through the front of the building. You remember that?
Was that? Yes, I do remember. I remember the whole thing. It seemed amazing. And was that the same, just because that's the same building that I did my masterclass at by chance?
It was the same building you did the masterclass in. Yep.
Okay.
So, yep, exactly. Same building. And, so the building ended up being condemned. And at this time, we had about 150 students. I had 150 students. I maybe had like 5 or 6 teachers and myself. So, and an administrator. So it's like, okay, this is bad because I have a building I can't use. I have 150 people who are waiting to see what's going to happen with their lesson next week. So immediately I'm just like, I mobilize. I'm like, okay, we're going to go back to my house, which was an absolute nightmare. I had people taking lessons in my dining room, in my living room, in like every room of the house we turned into a lesson room. And I also had some stuff going on at a church up the street. I was just like, I need to keep this going because my entire earning was in this one single location. And this is going to come around later when I get to the end of this hero story. So this was also the year in Boston, because I'm in the Northeast, that we got like 8 feet of snow in a month. So I have no location. I have no parking because there's snow everywhere. It was the snowpocalypse of 2015. And I'm just trying to hum along. And every night I went to bed saying, just one more day, just one more day. And every morning I woke up going, I can't do this. I'm going to quit.
Really?
And every morning, literally for 8 months. I did that for 8 months. That's how long it took us to get back into a new commercial location that I built out. But one, it wasn't just about me at that point. It was about employees who were counting on me. I knew I would be fine. Like I could just go back to teaching in my house. I was still teaching in the school a little bit at the time. So I was like, okay, I can just go back to teaching in my house. But what about all these people? What about these employees? They need this job. They have families to feed. So I was doing it more for them because literally if it was just me, I would have shut down and gone back in my house and probably curled up in a little ball. But I couldn't. I was just like every night, like I said, all right, just one more day, get through tomorrow. And eventually 8 months later, I was able to secure a new location and build out a whole new music school. Now, what did this teach me? This is a scenario that most businesses would not make it through. Most businesses would close up shop and that would be the end of it. And that was my option. My option was to close up shop and wait and try and rebuild what I had just created over the last 2 years all over again. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to lose all that. That was a lot of effort. So it taught me how important it is to have multiple income sources. Okay, my entire income was on this one single location. Okay, I had multiple income sources from teachers, but it was all brick and mortar. So I decided I need to spread out. So I opened multiple locations. So now if one location goes down, I still have a couple more locations to support me. And I went online, which was huge because now not only can I attract people in my local area, I can get people worldwide. I have people I actually had someone who was on my call, my guitar Zoom class I did over the weekend from Japan. I had someone from Japan on at 11 o'clock at night playing guitar with me. It was awesome. So I extended my reach. Now, this is very important because we all know what happened in 2020. COVID hit. All right. What happened to brick and mortar businesses again? My business got shut down. The end of March, we had to close our doors. We couldn't have in-person lessons. All right. And that was our bread and butter, all in-person lessons. So we had to mobilize very quickly, get as many students online. We lost about 30% of our revenue overnight. And no clue what's going to happen. Am I ever going to be able to open up these businesses again? Are people going to lose their jobs and freak out? So I'm just like, what's going on? So fortunately, we were able to keep things going because, as you can probably guess, I'm a very determined and stubborn person when it comes to getting things done. But the flip side, I went online and that online business took off, which helped support me and some of my employees through COVID. My business was going to make it because not only did I have a brick and mortar business, I had an online business. So when the brick and mortar tanked, the online took off. Okay. So I think this is a very important lesson in not putting all your eggs into one basket. Okay. I have I do real estate as well. So I'm kind of like as Robert said, multifaceted business person, but there's multiple flows of income coming in. All right. And I think that's a very important lesson that I learned from that car crash was it's not good to count on one thing. It's not good to count on one thing. You need to diversify how you're making money. So yes, if you are a music teacher like me, sure, teach in person, but also leverage a course because now you're leveraging your time once to make money over here. So I learned a lot about balance. So I guess that's my hero story. And what came out of it, it really was probably the worst time in my life was that car crash. It was very, very stressful. But the caveat is that when we went through COVID, I was stressed for maybe 2 weeks and that was it. Once I knew what was happening, COVID was actually probably one of the most stress-free moments of my life. So believe it or not, I was actually bored. I was bored I was like, I'm going to do the all in on this YouTube thing because I'm so bored and I have nothing to do and everything shut down. And that's what happened. And that is my hero in Phoenix Rising story.
Well done.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great story. Not everybody's business was destroyed by COVID.
No.
On the contrary. Just coattailing on that a bit, a lot of the clients at CourseCREEK, we talked to them and they got sort of beat up in a similar way due to COVID. And they come in and oftentimes they'll say something to the effect of, I got beat up due to COVID, help me monetize my expertise and get this digitized because of COVID. And I'm very quick to remind them that, look, COVID or no COVID, you still need this. I mean, even if the car hadn't gone through the front window, even if there was no COVID, would you not want to have a 24/7 productized version of what you're doing, running all the time, going out to 850 million English speakers in 192 different countries, elevating your authority in the space? And it goes on, creating a legacy. It's like writing a book. It goes on and on and on and on. As long as you're willing to do, pay the price up front and get it done, and you got a good idea, you're okay. But
Yeah. And it's a digital world. It is a digital world. You need a digital product. That's the bottom line. Okay. Everyone is online, at least in the United States and any first world country, everyone's online or they're on their phones. Okay. So you need some sort of digitized product, whether it's your own course or you're selling someone else's course. You need something that you can sell that doesn't require a customer to walk through your door and meet you face to face.
Or a boss to walk to your cubicle and tell you what to do.
Yeah. And a little segue on that you mentioned that when I quit my job to become a guitar teacher, it was something my actual guitar teacher that I had taken a few lessons with had told me. When I was working at the pharmaceutical company, she says, it takes one person to fire you. She goes, it takes 40 people to fire me. She goes, I will be unemployed if 40 people tomorrow say, you're fired. She goes, for you, it just takes one person to walk in the room and say, we don't need you anymore. And you are done. You have no income. And that was such a big eye-opening, idea for me. I was like, holy crap, she is so right. And again, goes back to that multiple flows of income. Don't have just one customer. Don't have one, have big customers, but it's like have lots of different things in different spots, because if one thing falls apart, guess what? You've got all these other little things over here to fall back on.
Indeed. And this is sort of coming in out of left field, but we're moving along so nicely in our little interview here. Something that is always fascinating me that I don't do, but I know you've dabbled with it. Just curious. Patreon. In terms of other little sources, things you can do, YouTube channels, it seems to be a thing. And could someone come to you to get advice about Patreon? Is it
Yeah, so
is it something you recommend?
I've used Patreon, and I do make money off of Patreon every month. So
Okay.
there's definitely ways to monetize Patreon. So yeah, I mean that's one of the things I discuss in my course, how to use
Okay.
some of these other, and even YouTube itself has its own membership thing that you can charge people
Oh,
and you can have
yeah.
exclusive. So again, when it comes to monetization, there really are a ton of options.
Yeah. Okay. Um, okay. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
We're okay. You see that look in her eye? That's why I love this girl. Here we go. Look to the camera and share some sage words of wisdom to our listeners in 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. A profound lesson or advice you hope they will always remember from viewing this interview today. Ready, set, go.
So I just want to let you know that you are the words that you speak and the dreams that you commit to. When I started off, like I said, wasn't classically trained in guitar, no education in music. I was a scientist. There were so many reasons for people to not believe in me, doubt me. But I believed in myself, and the words that I use, the words that you tell yourself every day are what you become. They're actually stronger than your actions. Your words become your actions. And when you make a commitment to something and you put your words behind that commitment, you become unstoppable because you have such a drive and such a force to say, this is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to create. This is what I'm going to share with the world, and nothing is going to stop me. So if you live your life like that, I guarantee you'll be very successful.
Isn't that great? See,
How's that under 2 minutes?
that's why I had to get you on my show. I love you. You are just so sweet and such an inspiration. And I'm very grateful for our friendship. And I look forward to many more years of continued work together and fun together. One more time, where can people find your YouTube new course?
Yeah, the new course is at leveluponyoutube.com. It's on pre-sale right now, leveluponyoutube.com. If you go there right now, you can save $300 on the pre-sale. It's a phenomenal course, so definitely go check that out.
Yeah, look, folks, it's going to be great. Lauren has such vast experience in all of this stuff. It's going to be really super good. In fact, I'm going to get it too. So with that, let's say goodbye and thank you for viewing our show.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for having me, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.